We're now going to look at two final techniques. The first one is to search for a record, and if you're in year 11, you'll have met a linear search. If you're in year 10, you won't have done, but you will. You're about to see how one works, even if we haven't quite done the theory yet. And the second technique I'm going to show you is how you can filter these records and find specific records with specific values. So in this case, we're going to filter it by age. So I've set up two empty subprograms, again with the pass, and I've set up two calls to them in my main program, and I'm going to work on them one at a time. It doesn't matter that this one won't have any code in it. It's simply going to get up to here and then just sit there. It won't do anything. It won't do any harm. So let's just work on the search by ID first of all. And what we need to do first of all is we need to ask the user for an ID to find. So that's quite straightforward to do. We've met that before. So that's just a straightforward input and storing it in a new variable that I've called search ID. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to iterate through the students list, and here remember I've used it as a parameter. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pop in my iteration, and now I'm going to do something that's a little bit new. I'm going to check if the ID that's been entered is the same one that is in the student list. So let's have a look and think about that. So let's say that the user enters in something like R3134. It's going to iterate through the list, go through James, Alice, Riser, and then when it gets to Riser, it's going to see that. And the reason it's going to see that is because that's in column 01. So it's in column 1. So let's have a look at that code again. So if each student 1, so if in column 1, which is where I've got the IDs, if that's the same as what they've entered there, that means I must have found it. And if I found it, then all I'm going to do is just print out a couple of very simple messages. And again, this is just using some concatenation, so nothing that you haven't seen here. And although this isn't quite making it onto my screen, I'm going to try to make it fit a little bit better. So there we are. So it's going to show the student name. It's going to show the age. Again, it has to convert that age into a string in order to make it work. And there I can access the name, which is in position 0, the age, which is in position 2. So let's just see if that's working. And I need to find an ID that I know it can find. So let's go for J4132. And there you go. It's found Jess, and she's at age 17. There are all sorts of other things I can do. I could make that a much better message by making sure that it gives me an error message if it doesn't find one. So I could do an else student not found. I could do an else print student not found. There's lots of things I can do here, but at the moment that's just a very, very simple way of going through a list and doing a linear search, so checking each record in turn. Next thing I want to do is to see if I can get my filter by age working. Well, this is very, very similar to a linear search. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for the age, and I'm going to have to convert that age to an integer in order to search properly. So I'm just going to pop in some code. There we are. So again, I've got an iteration here. So the same technique over and over again, hopefully. I'm going to now do my if statement. in this case, I'm trying to see if that student, so remember I'm going through every single student, James, Alice, Sarah, Andrew, Jess, and this time I'm looking for position 0, 1, 2. I'm looking at that position. So I'm looking at the age, and what I'm trying to do is figure out, is the search age, the one I've asked for, the same as that student age? And if it is, all I'm going to do is something very similar. It is basically just another linear search, but it just makes life a little bit easier when you're looking at it. So let's just have a look at that. I know that's stretched over a couple of lines, which is a little bit annoying. And let's just see if that's doing it. So we're going to go for an age, and I think the repeated age there is 14. So let's try that. And there you go. And now I've filtered it by age.